Oh, good evening.
Your Majesty, good evening, good morning to you there in London.
Yes.
I've got four very excited people here this evening who we wish to introduce to you, but to say thank you very much for accepting our request for the call. When we were thinking through about how we would celebrate your Jubilee here, one of my staff thought it would be a good idea, seeing you're unable to travel to Australia, that we might bring Australia to you. And who best to do that than to bring you the four Australians of the Year for 2022. So I have with me, of course, Linda.
Yes, nice to see you again.
Good morning, Your Majesty.
And then on my right, Mr. Dylan Alcott, who is the Australian of the Year for 2022. And to his right, Ms. Shanna Wan, who is the local hero of Australia for 2022. Then over on my left, Ms. Val Dempsey, who is our Senior Australian of the Year, and next to her, Dr. Daniel Knorr, who is the Young Australian of the Year. And so we're, as I say, delighted to be here, and coincidentally, this is the exact day, 34 years ago, that you opened Parliament House here. So we didn't plan, we didn't plan that, but it occurred. So it might invoke some memories for you of your time here.
Indeed. Trying to avoid that bit of water.
Yes, down the front there.
Yeah. Well, no, inside. I don't know whether it's still there, but there's this little pond inside. It intrigued me very much indeed. I wondered how many people had fallen into it.
Ah, yes, right in the middle. Sorry, it's a long time since I've been there. So I'll start with Dylan as our Australian of the Year. Dylan.
Cool. Hi, Your Majesty. Thanks for coming to chat to us. This is awesome. My name's Dylan Alcott, and I still can't believe it, but I got named Australian of the Year for this year, which is just ridiculous. It's such a huge honour. I'm a proud Australian. I think you can see I'm in a wheelchair. I've been in a wheelchair my whole life and was very lucky to win 4 Paralympic gold medals playing 2 different sports, wheelchair tennis and wheelchair basketball, and won 15 Grand Slam singles titles playing wheelchair tennis. I unfortunately won a couple of Wimbledon titles, beat some Great Britain players, which I was happy about, but maybe you weren't so happy about. And the reason I get out of bed every day is to change perceptions, so people with disability, people like me, can get out and live the lives they deserve to live. And I just want to use my platform to shine a light on that, to help employment opportunities, help people get out there and live the lives that they want to live. And to be given this honour to be Australian of the Year, I get emotional talking about it, to be honest, because to have any... When I was a young kid, I used to hate myself, Your Majesty, and to see if I thought anybody in a wheelchair, let alone myself, would be Australian of the Year, I wouldn't have believed you. So, yeah, a huge honour. And when I told my mum last night that I was getting to meet you, she cried. How cool is that? So I think I've made her very proud as well. So, yeah, a real honour for me to be here today. Thank you.
So you've actually retired, have you, from your tennis?
I'm retired now, so I'm looking forward to coming to Wimbledon and actually drinking a Pimm's this time, rather than playing the whole time. You know what I mean? It's going to be, it's going to be fun. But yeah, I had a great career, but I think it's time for me to, do something else and use my platform to help more people. And I'm really excited about the opportunity.
That's wonderful to be helping other people. So that's what you'll be focusing on, is it?
Yeah, exactly right. I've got a foundation where we help young people with disability achieve their dreams through university scholarships, funding startups, all kinds of stuff around Australia, and really, shining a light on some of the things that people with disability often haven't had the opportunity to do through employment, mainstream schools, all kinds of stuff, participation in sport. And I've got to give you credit, the London Paralympics changed the game for so many people like me. It really was one of the best moments of my life playing there, and I think the rest of the world has followed suit now. And yeah, I'm coming to Great Britain to do some work. All around the world, I really want to try and do what I've been able to do here, globally now as well, which is pretty cool.
Good. Well, that's splendid to hear about that. Good.
Thank you, Dylan. And if I could introduce again Shanna, off to you.
Hello, Your Majesty. Thank you so very much for making time to meet us. It's lovely to meet you. This year I was very fortunate to win the Australian Local Hero of the Year. So that's a category that recognises community grassroots service that is above and beyond. For about 7 years now, I have committed my entire life and heart and soul to service to the community in a very specific area, which is in rural and remote Australia. And in particular, I work through my charity that I founded, which is called Sober in the Country. And I'm raising awareness around alcohol harm, specifically in rural and remote areas where the barriers of permanent isolation, as we call it, never end. And I suppose it would be fair to say that my passion is to ensure that the people who get up and show up in floods and fires and droughts to feed the rest of this amazing country are supported when they need some help in their own time of need. And tragically, alcohol abuse and indeed addiction is a big issue for us in the bush in Australia. So that is my passion, and I do that because I nearly died about 7 years ago from my own battle with alcoholism. So it's a cause very dear to my heart from lived experience, and that's what I do.
I think that's marvellous. During the pandemic, that must have been quite difficult to do, wasn't it?
The pandemic ended up being an interesting situation for us because actually what it did was it proved what I have been saying to the country, I suppose, and even the globe for a long time now, which is when people are in isolation, the barriers to getting help and support are amplified and exacerbated. And so, in fact, we're kind of the experts in ISO because that's our normal, if you know what I mean. So it's been...
Yes, I can see that, yes.
It's been an interesting couple of years, Your Majesty, really interesting.
I'm sure, yes. Whereabouts do you live?
So my husband and I and our 2 dogs and our 2 horses, I just had to throw that in there because I know you love your dogs and horses. So we live in northwestern New South Wales in a little teeny tiny wooden church in the bush, and I travel and speak when I'm not home.
Well, that's very interesting to hear about that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shannon. Could I introduce Mrs. Val Dempsey again? Val is our Senior Australian of the Year, and she could talk about herself, but I could say, Your Majesty, every time I turn up to a disaster site, one of the people I bump into is Val, but I'll let her tell her own story.
Good morning, Your Majesty. What a pleasure and an honour to meet you. Well, I'm a very, very long-time volunteer with St John Ambulance Australia.
Yes.
I'm also a commander in the Order of St John.
Are you?
I am, and that was conferred on me recently for work that has involved probably over 50 years of being with St John Ambulance. I personally would love to see, and my aim is, that people who are driving vehicles should learn first aid. It's an absolute passion of mine. We had a dreadful moment in our family life many years ago that has led me to believe that first aid, bystander first aid at the scene of an accident actually makes a massive, big difference. Those 5 to 7 minutes before the ambulance or help arrives, the person pulling up at a car accident, if they have first aid training, they can actually save a life. We have something like 40,000 people a year recovering and living with injuries from road trauma, and I would dearly like to be able to promote the idea of learner drivers taking on first aid training as part of their driver's license. Because whenever I drive around where I live here in Canberra, all I can see is other drivers, and they're all potential first aiders. I don't see mothers and fathers, I see first aiders. And so it would be really a wonderful thing if we could inspire all peoples to be able to learn first aid, because it will make a marvellous difference right the way across our community. And so for that reason, I'm delighted to have this opportunity to raise that issue.
It sounds a very sensible idea too, because obviously it does help enormously if one does know something about first aid.
Indeed it does, you're quite right. And I guess the other thing that I wanted to talk about this today is that recently I had the pleasure of being in our wonderful top north region of New South Wales, where sadly the community up there was devastated. In the Lismore Twin Rivers region, the Richmond River flooded and other rivers, and the water rose some 35 feet and wiped out this whole community. I went in as a first aid person to set up a medical unit there. The amazing resilience of that community up there, it really has reinforced the goodness in people and in the human nature. It was such a privilege to be a part of that.
Well, it's nice to hear that there are people that are so brave and welcoming too.
They've been very stoic up there, Your Majesty. It's been an extremely difficult time, and as I wrote to you, actually for those communities worse than the bushfires. It's absolutely terrible.
You've had a terrible lot of rain, haven't you?
Yes, and it's continuing, unfortunately. And one who had a bit of experience as well as that, if I could introduce Dr. Daniel Noor again, our Young Australian of the Year. Daniel, if you would tell the Majesty your story.
Good morning, Your Majesty. It is an absolute honour and privilege to be speaking to you and to see you live. My name is Daniel Noor. I'm currently a doctor working in one of Sydney's largest hospitals, where I've been working for the last 3 years. The reason I was awarded Young Australian of the Year was I founded a service called Streetside Medics. It is a mobile medical service that is providing GP-led medical access to those who are experiencing homelessness and those that are vulnerable. And it was actually an idea which started when I was a medical student at the Imperial College in London. I came across a gentleman who was having a seizure at Waterloo, just outside of the train station. And after that interaction, I learnt that for people experiencing homelessness, there are a number of quite significant and challenging barriers that limit access to healthcare. And the result of that limited access to healthcare is the health outcomes for those experiencing homelessness are very poor. There are people with medical conditions that I as a doctor know that I can treat and that are preventable. But the challenge was getting to see a doctor or getting to the hospital. And when I returned to Australia, I realised that despite us having one of the world's best healthcare services, we also had a number of those challenging barriers that limit access to healthcare. So what we've developed is a van which we've custom built as a mobile medical centre full of medical equipment and consumables. We have a team of over 200, 300 general practitioners and then about 6,000 volunteers. And we take our vans all across New South Wales and soon to be Australia. And we ensure that anyone who is experiencing homelessness or vulnerable has access to healthcare with absolutely no cost and no barriers limiting that access. And our service is very much one driven by need. And an example of that need was Lismore, where there was, as mentioned, devastating floods. And what the floods caused was medical centres were destroyed. General practitioners lost their ability to see patients, but worse, patients lost their ability to see doctors. And we just needed to do something about it. And for me as a doctor, it is the most fulfilling work. I mean, I still work in one of the largest hospitals. I'm training to do cardiology hopefully soon. But there is nothing more fulfilling than serving those who are experiencing homelessness.
Well, I think that sounds wonderful work to be doing.
Well,
It's very nice to meet these very special Australians.
Your Majesty, I often use the phrase when we're travelling around about people with an enormous heart for community, and that's what you see here. And another phrase we often use in Government House is about richness of spirit in the Australian people. And I know the floods triggered a little story. Linda might want to tell you about some children we met in Brisbane.
It was their family-owned a delicatessen, like a very upmarket delicatessen. And it did suffer some of the flooding, but they were able to save a lot of their produce. And when we met them, they were up and running again. And they had 3 delightful children. And those children, they decided that they would bake some cakes and make some sandwiches and sell this delicious food and donate the money to the flood cause.
That's splendid, isn't that?
I think the combined view that these 4 have of different aspects of life in Australia, work that still needs to be done in our society to level the playing field for people. Shanna's work with alcoholism in the bush is absolutely vital because, you know, people in isolation and so forth, they turn to alcohol, and her desire is that when people go into the bar, or the first response to a problem is not to go to a beer, it's to go and seek help, and she can provide that.
And for a community to accept the choice that not drinking
Yeah,
is
not drinking
absolutely
is fine.
okay.
Yeah, don't drink.
Embracing some change.
And the changes that Dylan can... Dylan is one of the most well-known faces in Australia, and not the best looking, I
I was going to say, that's a big call.
one of the most well-known faces. And yeah, he has at the moment this enormous... He's getting 200 invitations a day or requests a day to go and speak to organisations and people. So he's got tremendous potential to change people's views about disability in Australia. And Val is the epitome of volunteerism.
She's a dynamo.
50 years in St John.
It's a long time, isn't it?
Yeah, a real stalwart, and
Yes, ma'am.
but not 70 years like you, ma'am, though. But 50 is getting close.
I have a few years yet to catch up to you, I think.
Got you by 20.
And Daniel, of course, again, an enormous heart for people who go without. And as Daniel says, it's those simple illnesses that people have that are quite treatable, which are quite limiting to them in trying to, you know, break out of homelessness. So I hope you've enjoyed getting a sense of what are the issues in modern day Australia that people are really worried about and working on. And we've got 4 extraordinary people here who are
Good.
helping out.
Seems like it. And it's been wonderful to have... How lucky we get technology and I can speak to you all, which is splendid nowadays, isn't it? So it's been very interesting to hear about all the very important work which they're doing, which
Thank you,
I
Maxine.
hope they'll continue.
There's also great internet at the Palace because it is beautiful reception. It's coming through very good. The technology is great.
Good. I'm glad, because there's a whole lot of things happening outside the window and you can't hear it, luckily.
Oh, that's good.
And this technology is getting better.
And
Anyway,
now-
it's very nice to meet you all.
But thank you very much for your time, and again, it's been just a lovely opportunity to catch up, to celebrate what has been a magnificent 70 years. And Australians are, I think, full of joy for what's coming up in terms of the celebrations, and just wishing you well over that period. And you never know, we might even get over there to celebrate.
Yeah, let's go. I want to go.
Very nice to see you again. Righto. Lovely to see you all.